Hey, welcome back, deep divers. We are in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1, okay? Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. And it says this, it says, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted. Number one, what you need to understand, which is so cool, is that the Spirit is going to lead Jesus to be tempted. Why? It's because the Bible wants us to understand how to deal with temptation, how to deal with difficult times, how to deal with things that are, making us want to fall into our flesh, to sin. And so the Spirit says, okay, let's teach this knucklehead Hayden on how to deal with temptation. And it says this, by the devil, who's tempting him, after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Normally when we're tempted and we're going to give in to sin, it's because we're tired. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, I don't want to do anything. Like I just want to veg out and sit on my couch and be like, ugh. And it's so easy for me to get angry. It's so easy for me to lash out on things because I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And Jesus is tired. Jesus is exhausted. And the devil comes to him and says, hey, turn these stones into bread. And it's okay. Like, it's all right. Like, you could do it. You're Jesus. But this is what Jesus says during this temptation. He says, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. And here's what's so cool about Jesus' response. It's kind of like this. In my first year of marriage, I thought I was doing a great thing for my wife by buying mac and cheese because I knew that she loved mac and cheese. And so before she got home, I went to the store, I bought the mac and cheese, and I go home, I boil, the water, I've got like the box, and I pour the noodles in, and like in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm such a good husband. I'm amazing. And then I, get the noodles through the strainer, and then I put the noodles back into the pan, I put the butter, I put the milk, and then I put the cheese, and I'm just stirring it up. And then she gets home and I'm like, babe, I made mac and cheese. And she's like, yeah. And then we sit down and we're watching a TV show and she's got her bowl. She hasn't eaten it yet. She puts ketchup on it, which is, ketchup on mac and cheese. I don't know why. And then she goes to take her first bite and I'm like, she's going to love it. Okay, and then after she loves the mac and cheese, she's gonna even love me more. And then as she bites it, she just goes, bleh. And she's like, what did you do? And I'm like, what did I do? I made you dinner. That's what I did. She's like, how did you make this? And I'm like, I boiled water and noodles and butter and milk and cheese. And she's like, wait, you put milk in this? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's not how I ate it. Like, it's always water. Hayden, what are you doing? And she immediately notices the difference. Why? Is because she has fed herself water mac and cheese, which that's weird, okay? But she notices the difference between milk and water because she's always used water in her mac and cheese. Jesus is saying, he's like, I know something's different. I know there's something completely wrong with what the enemy is saying and trying to tempt me with because he's eaten, okay? He's fed himself spiritually, okay? The right thing for so long in his life where he says, no, I know how to deal with this temptation. I know how to deal with what you're trying to feed me because he's already fed himself spiritually. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. That's why it's so important for us to feed ourselves spiritually, is because when we are tired and we are just, exhausted from life, that we can say, no, this temptation, there's a greater truth. And that truth is in the Word of God. That truth is found in us feeding ourselves spiritually. And so I want to encourage you, don't give up on reading this truth, is because there's going to become a day where there's a trial, there's a temptation, and we can easily know the difference between when there's milk used in our mac and cheese or when there's water used in our mac and cheese, and we know the difference. Have a great day.